Hello, my name is Erica Staab, and I'm the director of Hope Center here in Rice County, and I wanted to tell you a little bit about our blueprint. Our blueprint is based on the work of the St. Paul Blueprint, which is where they gathered domestic violence providers from all across Ramsey County to look at what is working, what is not, and to create a cohesive plan to respond to domestic violence. And so we took components of that here and did that for Rice County. And so we have everyone from 911 all the way to probation, anyone that deals with domestic violence. They come to monthly meetings where we talk about protocol procedures, we talk about how we respond, we talk about what's working and what's not. And so from the multidisciplinary team approach, we feel that that gives our victims the best chance to stay safe and to two of the main tenets of our blueprint team is to keep our victims safe and to hold offenders accountable. As I mentioned, the blueprint partners are from 911, law enforcement, prosecution, advocacy, probation, parole, child protection, anybody that has hands-on in the domestic violence response. So the moment somebody calls 911 or somebody calls 911 for a person, law enforcement arrives on the scene. Once they make sure that everything is safe, then they interview the victims. They also ask the victims 3 specific questions that relate to the context and history of domestic violence. Because one of the things that we know about domestic violence is it's a patterned crime and it will continue to escalate. So we know that there's a lot of context that is behind it. This may be the first time that that person is called, but it's not the first time that this has happened in many cases. And so we want to make sure that we record that so that that can be helpful in moving forward. The other piece that happens when law enforcement is on the scene is they will call our advocacy organization. So they call Hope Center from the scene. We have an advocate that's on call 24/7, 365 days a year, and we make sure that we are in contact and communication with that victim. We let them know what our services are, that our services are free and confidential. We make sure that they're connected with whoever they need to be connected with. We explain the process. We what I call translate to make sure that they understand what is an arraignment hearing, what does that mean? What does it mean when the officer says this? So once advocacy is involved, we make sure that the victims understand what is happening next. We walk alongside them throughout the process and help connect them to the resources that are necessary. One of the other things that happens during that call is we do what's called a lethality assessment protocol, which is we ask 14 questions that are evidence-based that look at what is the predictors of lethality within that relationship. It helps us to get a context of the relationship. It also helps us in helping them decide whether or not they want to go for a protection order, an order for protection, harassment restraining order. Prosecution can use that information to help make the case for bail. Another thing that happens once people are connected with advocacy is that we will help make sure that they have a safety plan in place. We will help make sure that the next steps are kind of laid out with that person and we can identify where we need to go from here. So one of the key components about the blueprint is that we meet together as a team. So we are each doing our individual portions of the response, but together it makes a collective response. And so we want to make sure that everybody knows what everybody else's roles and responsibilities are. And so that's really what the blueprint does and how it can make such a difference in the Rice County response to domestic violence. And so after we've had the blueprint going for a few years, we wanted to see, is it working? What do we need to do next? And so we were able to receive a VAWA grant, so the Violence Against Women Act grant, and we were able to look at what is working, what is not. So we partnered with Dr. Martha Brown to look at and interview system providers, victims, and look at what is effective and what is not effective within our system. And so the Blueprint 2.0 report that came out of that research and came out of those interviews is really kind of a blueprint of what's next. And so from that, we're going to look at how do we improve the system here in Rice County? What do we need to do differently, and what do we need to do better? And so we would love for your input on that, for your insights into that, and we will be telling you more about how that will change the face of domestic violence within Rice County.